Yes, so we are finally here in the infamous Jordan versus Bird. Now we were gonna watch the 90-91 matchup. We were gonna watch the highlights, but I saw that when I typed in Michael Jordan versus Larry Bird and I saw this popped up, I was like, I gotta know the story. I don't know if this is like an infamous story that everybody knows, but I never heard this story. And y'all seen in my other Bird reactions, I said I still have Jordan as number one. Again, when you get to that level of greatness, it really becomes subjective because all of these guys, they have the accolades, they have the statistics, the abilities, the stats, they have the adulation, the impact, everything on and off the court. It really becomes subjective. I mean, some people hold rings in a higher regard, so in that case, it would be Jordan. Some people hold stats. The stats are pretty close if you kind of like if you really measure it properly, because I don't think they played that much difference in years. And I know Jordan has them in points, and everything's so skewed. It really becomes a preference thing. But yeah, I had to know the story. I saw the title, and I was like, oh man, I gotta know the story. So I'm really excited to see what this story is, and just everything about it. I do know that when it comes to Bird and Jordan, look, Jordan got his ass kicked. I'm aware. I know the stats. I forgot the exact record, but I know it's like crazy in Bird's favor. But I said this in the last reaction. It was predominantly the 80s, and that 80s Bulls squad was terrible. Jordan had to put up 30 or 40 just to keep the games respectable. But the Celtics kicked the Bulls' ass. It's not even a debate. You know what I mean? So it's a really tough way to really analyze it. We all know what Bird had to say about Jordan. He said it's like looking at Jesus on the basketball court. So, and we know that Jordan has the utmost respect for Bird. So it's so hard to say who's definitively better. But it's always a fun debate. But I gotta know this story. So I'm really excited to see what this story is, what it's all about, and go down memory or have a history lesson, so to speak. So, yeah, man, let's get into it, man. Let's not waste no more time. Let's go.
NBA Hall of Famer James Worthy, who played against both Michael Jordan and Larry Bird, said, "I'd much rather play against Michael Jordan than Larry Bird. Jordan made you look slow, but Bird made you look stupid. Look, I'm not here to convince you that Larry Bird is better than Michael Jordan. I'll just present to you the facts and let the NBA legends who actually played against both of them tell you what they think."
People always ask me who's the hardest player I've ever had to guard. And there was Michael Jordan, George Gervin, the late, great Mike Mitchell. I mean, so many players. I always say Larry Bird. And I say this for the reason because when Michael passed the basketball, he kind of hung on his shorts and he sit off to the side. With Larry, when he passed the basketball is when he became more dangerous. He was either setting a pick, coming off a pick, catching the ball, passing the ball. So he was the one you always had to stay attentive to the whole 24 seconds of that offensive play for the Celtics. And you know what? Oh, he's going to get an offensive rebound. He was going to do something to help his team have the best chance of scoring at that point. So I always say as him, he didn't need the basketball to affect the game.
To the untrained eye, Michael Jordan was light years better than Larry Bird, simply because his scoring numbers were better. But in actuality, it was much closer than that because Bird affected the game in so many ways.
I saw Larry Bird one night in Phoenix. They were losing big time at the half. And they come out in the third quarter, and Larry did not take a shot, but dominated the game. He had 7 assists in the third quarter, and they came back and won the game. He could affect the game without taking a shot. Who else can you say that about to that degree? Nobody. Michael could never do that. Never. Michael had to have the ball.
Here's a 1986 magazine on the NBA. And remember, this is a league with Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Charles Barkley, Isaiah Thomas, Hakeem Olajuwon, Moses Malone, and Dr. J. And in a league with all of these all-time great players, everyone agreed that Larry Bird was the best. Because in 1984, 1985, and 1986, Larry Bird won MVP back to back to back. And in the 1986 playoffs, Larry Bird finally faced Michael Jordan head to head. And in game 1, Michael dropped a spectacular 49 points. But Larry Bird had an all-around game with 30 points, 8 assists, 6 rebounds, and 3 steals to lead the Celtics to a victory. By game 2, MJ had a revelation.
And this is game 2 of the best-of-5 first-round action, and the Celtics will try to make it 2 in a row over the Bulls.
We really have to play a complete basketball game. I don't think one man can beat the Boston Celtics.
But he sure did try. Because Jordan turned on God mode and broke the record for the most points ever scored in a playoff game.
Lead in the first half of the game against the Celtics Thursday. Jordan trying to fake Bird, can't do it. Hits the jumper, but Bird played pretty well defensively.
That is one of the sexiest plays in NBA history. That in between, tween, stutter step, pull up. That is one of the sexiest plays. That's one of the sexiest highlights in basketball history. But I just wanted to say this to the point of I didn't know who it was, but he said that Jordan. I don't think Jordan get enough credit for. Jordan was a good now. No, was it like Bird like? No, and was it consistent like Bird? No. I'm not in no way, shape, or form am I comparing Jordan's passing to Bird's. From a consistency standpoint, because Jordan could pass. Jordan has some great passes. Like I don't know if it exists, but if it is a Michael Jordan passing highlights reel, I would love to watch it because I remember him having some great passes. And when he did have a more respectable team, his assists did go up. But yeah, in the 80s, I don't even think it was close. Like I said, Jordan had you had Paxson, you had certain shooters like Paxson and all that, but it wasn't no consistent, reliable second option on the Bulls 80 squad. It just wasn't. But I mean, I would agree that from an all-around standpoint, because we all know, while Magic was a phenomenal rebounder, passer, and scoring within the paint, great, not a great shooter. And from a passing standpoint, I definitely would give the edge to Bird in comparison to Jordan. But that's the thing, like Bird did, like he was a great passer, rebounder, scorer, damn good defender. You know what I mean? Like, so, but yeah, I just wanted to say that to the point of that guy. Like, I don't think Jordan gets enough credit for his passing abilities. Now, it was a definite second option. Jordan was looking to score and take your head off, but I just the disrespect I feel to Jordan's passing is
against Jordan.
I know we started Dennis Johnson out on him, and then we went with Danny Ainge, myself, with then Bill Walton, and we was trying to run him to help all the time, but he had his outside shot going so well that he really didn't need to penetrate that much.
Jordan hits it, 56 for Jordan, and that ties the Chicago Bulls all-time leader. Jordan with 8 on the clock. Jordan ties the game.
Oh, boy.
63 points, and you're looking at an all-time record.
Oh, boy.
Michael Jordan.
But it was an incredible playoff performance. I've never seen it before, and I had never seen it after. That wasn't Michael Jordan out there. It was God disguised as Michael Jordan.
But Larry Bird left with with the most important statistic of all, the W.
10 on the clock. Bird, pick and roll Parrish. Victory for the Boston Celtics to take a 2-0 lead over Chicago in their best of 5.
Michael Jordan didn't beat Larry Bird. You showed Michael Jordan going between his legs one time in the highlights, against Larry Bird. And that was the game he got 63.
That's when he dropped 63 on Bird. Yes.
But if memory serves me correct, they got swept. No, not lost. They got swept. Okay?
That's true.
Even though he dropped 63, we stepped all in his ass, did we not? I rest my case.
Larry Bird went on to win his 3rd championship that year. And the following year, when Larry faced MJ in the playoffs, it happened again.
Side. Larry Bird against Banks, rubs him around a Perry screen, drives it down the lane and lays it in with a right hand. Michael Jordan with 30 points in this game, so he was 30 or better in all 3 playoff games. Bird's got 31 in the game and 14 in the fourth quarter.
Crazy. He was just a walking 30-piece.
Boston has kept it in good hands in the fourth quarter.
Damn.
And Bird, and that's
what
about
happened
it.
to his back?
Final score in Chicago Stadium. The Boston Celtics sweep the Bulls out 105 to 94.
What happened to Larry's neck? What was that?
Celtic experience for a Bulls team lacking in both areas.
Yes, Larry Bird in back-to-back years swept Michael Jordan in the playoffs. So if Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time, but Michael Jordan never beat Larry Bird, then what does that make Larry Bird? Now, to be fair, at that point, Michael Jordan didn't have his best teammate ever, Scottie Pippen, yet. When Scottie Pippen arrived, the battles were closer and more intense. And later in the video, I'll let you see exactly what happened when Larry Bird faced a prime Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. Because Larry Bird did something so miraculously impressive, no other man in the history of basketball can say they've done. But after Bird swept Jordan back-to-back years in the playoffs, that very next year in 1988, Michael Jordan had statistically the best season ever, where he won the scoring title at 35 points per game, the steals title, the MVP, the defensive player of the year, the All-Star Game MVP, and the dunk contest. He faced Larry Bird 4 times that year, and this is how it went. Game 1, tough battle, Bird wins. Game 2, MJ has a historic 50-point game to win by 10. Game 3, Larry's revenge. After that previous loss, I'm sure Larry Bird had that rematch circled on his calendar, because he ended up with 33, 8, and 7 and blew MJ out by 30 points. Game 4, MJ had an impressive performance with 39 points and 8 assists, but Larry Legend had 44 points and 10 rebounds, but most importantly, a win versus Michael Jordan in his statistically best season ever. And though Michael Jordan didn't face Bird again that year in the playoffs, Jordan did face Isaiah Thomas and the Detroit Pistons. And I'll let Isaiah Thomas tell you exactly how he recalls that year and the rest of the 80s.
So Michael Jordan in the 80s, the best year that he had was he was the MVP of the league and the defensive player of the year. I believe that was in 88.
Yes.
We
88.
beat them 4-1. I'm gonna say that again. 4-1. They won one
May
game.
I respond?
Stephen A. And he never beat Larry Bird. He never beat Magic and Kareem. He never won. And all I'm saying is in the 80s, what I remember in the 80s, it was Philadelphia with Dr. J, Magic, Kareem, Bird, Michael Jordan. He was a non-factor.
A non-factor. Is this your GOAT?
No, and this dude, come on, y'all. See, this is when these conversations get like you doing too much to prove a point. I don't care if it's in prehistoric times and he wasn't even born. If Michael Jordan is on the basketball floor, he's always going to be a factor. To call Michael Jordan now, to say the Bulls weren't a legitimate threat to win the championship, that's a different statement. To say that Michael Jordan wasn't a fact. See, because this is the thing. Everything about this video so far is based off of wins, right? It's all based on wins. He's basically saying, hey, yes, you look at the stats and you look at all the statistics, Jordan was great, right? But he didn't win anything. It's so annoying because it goes to the whole, why, like, Isaiah Thomas is a better point guard than Derek Fisher. And Derek Fisher has 5 rings. You know what I'm saying? Like, once you start to put the team success in championships into an individual, when it's, the conversation is based on 2 or specific individuals, you completely change the whole course of the conversation, because it's no longer about the individual. You're bringing up a team-based thing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, to call, like, and again, this dude, I see where this video is going. It's basically saying what I brought up in the intro. Bird kicked his ass in regards to the wins. You know, again, I forgot the exact record. I think it's like 13-3, something crazy like that. Like, but and we all know the dynamic between Isaiah Thomas and Jordan. Like, they just don't, you know, hey, that's just bad blood that probably will never, work out. But to call Michael Jordan a non-factor is like, come on. Like, you're just doing too much to make a point. It's crazy. But I get it. I understand.
A non-factor. Is this your GOAT? But after Isaiah Thomas swept MJ, he did go on to beat Larry Bird in 6 games. And many people touted the Detroit defense for holding Larry Bird to under 20 points per game. But what many don't include in that story is that Larry Bird was noticeably injured with painful bone spurs in both feet. So only because of injuries, for the first time in 5 seasons, Larry Bird would not make the NBA Finals. Starting the following year, Larry Bird had season-ending surgery on both feet after playing only 6 games. But sadly, it only got worse, because that following offseason, Larry Bird broke his back and was never the same again. But even as Larry Bird's entire body betrayed him, for some reason, he always played well against Michael Jordan, almost like he had a personal vendetta against Jordan. And I think I know why. When Michael Jordan was in college, he actually played an exhibition game against Larry Bird. Jordan and a bunch of college players, while preparing for the 1984 Olympics, faced Larry Bird and a bunch of NBA stars. The goal was to toughen the college kids up before they headed to the Olympics. So during pre-game warm-ups, when Jordan chased the loose ball to the other end of the court, Larry Bird picked the ball up. But instead of handing it to Jordan, Bird kicked the ball over Jordan's head to the opposite end of the court. And I guess you could say Michael Jordan took that personally.
Now look at Mossy. Really? Oh, so that's how you're going to play it. You going to do this? Okay, fine. That's all I needed. That's all I needed for him to do that. And it became personal with me.
Michael Jordan dominated that game. a young Michael Jordan actually carried a team full of college players past a prime Larry Bird and a bunch of NBA players. Michael Jordan won the battle, but Larry Bird won the war. I think Larry Bird took that loss personally because Jordan never really got the best of Larry Bird ever again. When Larry Bird finally returned to the court after missing basically an entire season with foot surgery and a back injury, he faced prime Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen in a regular season game. The teams went back and forth.
Bagley against Paxson, 10 on the shot clock. Jordan on Bird. Quick feed into Jim Paxson for the layup. Larry Bird has KO the read. Jordan the steal. Scottie Pippen ahead to Jordan. Michael for the dunk. Bird against Pippen. Bird working on Pippen one-on-one. Hits the fadeaway.
And with 10 seconds to go, it was a tie game. The Celtics had the ball, and the Bulls put their two best defenders, Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, both on Larry Bird because everyone knows who the ball is going to. And then this happened.
Let's see if they wind it all the way down. Inside of 10 seconds. Bird low. You can't double yet. Now you can quickly. Bird's jumper. Good. 3.6 seconds left. Larry Bird gives the Boston Celtics a 2-point lead.
Everybody in this building had to know it was going to. Michael came over to help out. Celtics lead with 3.6 seconds here, 102 to 100.
A game-winning shot while being double-teamed by both Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, two of the best defenders of all time. Somehow the word clutch doesn't even begin to describe the greatness of Larry Bird when the game was on the line. But maybe a quote from NBA Hall of Fame coach, executive, and former player Pat Riley can explain. In an interview, when comparing Larry Bird and Michael Jordan's clutchness, Pat Riley said this iconic quote, "If I had to choose a player to take a shot to save a game, I'd choose Michael Jordan. If I had to choose a player to take a shot to save my life, I'd take Larry Bird." As Larry Bird was on his last legs and Michael Jordan was starting his dynasty in 1991, Larry Bird mustered up enough strength to battle MJ again in one of the last great duels between the two.
Gamble came up with the steal.
Here's Bird. Yes. He was met on a switch by Jordan, and there 69, Chicago 67. Jordan eluding a triple team.
I really don't think y'all understand how impressive it is. Bird with a bad back. Like, I don't know if y'all ever tried to do anything with a bad back. Playing sports with a bad back is like...
This battle between two all-time greats
it's almost
came
impossible.
down to the wire. In overtime, it was a
that
tie
fadeaway
game
is crazy.
with 0.4 seconds on the clock, and the Chicago Bulls had the ball.
Pippen now will look to throw in. 0.4 of a second. And here it is, Jordan with the play. Yes! But it's waved off. Will not count. Mike Mathis said no. Did not beat the clock.
Ooh, he almost had it. After Jordan's possible game winner was waved off, Larry Bird, on 4 straight possessions in double overtime, did this.
Jordan.
It's great to hear all these coaches talk about they're really concerned as Bird hits a little fadeaway. They're really concerned about the minutes building up. They want to be fresh going into the playoffs until the game.
Overtime number 2. Bird. Yes. Larry Bird heating it out to go.
Yo, Grant cannot.
And the second overtime.
Grant cannot deal with
Bird with the fake through the foul.
Grant cannot deal with him. Oh man, that's so messed up because he. Oh man.
45 to go in the second overtime.
Oh come on, what you doing?
Bird fires. Yes.
Grant just come.
The crowd couldn't help but chant the name of the greatest player of all time.
Shook his head and said, "This guy's too much."
And the chant of Larry. The
Brown beat John Paxson off the pitch. The second overtime, and that will do it.
This is the game that I was supposed to watch, I think, where they both put up 30 plus.
Boston Celtics in double overtime and defeated the Chicago Bulls,
which I still want to watch.
To 132 in a wild one.
Double overtime.
The Celtics held on to win that game, but that year, Michael Jordan won his first championship versus Magic Johnson in the finals, and his dynasty had officially begun.
Larry and I were talking, and Michael walks in, and he says, "There's a new sheriff in town." And we both hit each other like, well, he's not lying.
Larry Bird retired after that next season, but not before he took the court with Michael Jordan one last time. Except this time, it would be on the same team in what many would call the greatest team ever assembled. The 1992 Dream Team.
And rebounded by Jordan.
Perez may have realized that may be his best opportunity to get an open look in transition.
Magic with the pass that misfired. Jordan with the behind the back save. Here's Bird. Yes.
That's crazy. That's so crazy.
And you just knew that Larry Bird was not going to miss that shot after the great save by Michael Jordan.
Larry, I hear that you're retiring. Thank goodness. I'm glad. I'm tired of seeing your face. Well, a lot of sad memories to me, but I enjoyed you tremendously. I wish you a lot of luck, and I think you had a very wonderful career, even though you probably ruined a lot of my successful games against the Boston Celtics. And I'll see you somewhere along the road, somewhere playing golf.
Even though he dropped 63, we stepped all in his ass, did we not? I rest my case.
Yeah, man, that's a good video. Like, again, I understand the premise of what was. So this video was all about the record, who was winning and who was losing. And yeah, so that 91 game, I really want to watch that game, and it is very impressive. Because, again, the fact that was literally the end of Bird, his back. I mean, like I was saying, I don't know if y'all tried to do anything with a bad back. It is impossible. It is borderline impossible doing anything with a bad back. And the fact that he was playing basketball and putting up 30 is crazy. But, again, it once you start to put a team goal into an individual conversation, it really becomes a difficult conversation. Because, and again, I hope y'all are objective. I hope y'all are in acknowledging that Celtics squad in the 80s was light years better than the Bulls squad. Like, when they first drafted Jordan, it was literally just Jordan. In 84, it was literally just Jordan. I do like Paxson. He was a hell of a knockdown shooter. What was it, Cartwright? The big man? I'm trying to think of the whole Bulls squad. It was like, it was a bunch of, I'm not going to say nobodies. And it was a couple of respectable guys, but there was no, as my man in the video said, his best teammate throughout his career, Scottie Pippen, was not there yet. And just the role players that eventually came to the squad in both reigns, the 91 through 93 and then the 95 through 98. Like, the role players mixed in with Scottie, it was a completely different team in the 90s. But I mean, you can't, again, you wish you could put prime Bird in the 90s or put prime Jordan with that squad in the 80s. You wish you could, like, kind of fix everything, but you can't. You can only go by the history books, and the history books say that Larry got in Jordan's ass, man. But again, you talking about wet behind the ears, fresh in the league Jordan with literally no significant second option versus the Boston Celtics. Like, and Jordan said it best. No one man was beating the Celtics. That's just, it was impossible. No one man is dealing with everything that the Celtics had to deal with. It's just a fact. But it was some great battles and some great highlights. That was a great story. I thought it was gonna be like a specific story, like they like between them, but it was really just about their record and, you know, who's really the GOAT. I thought it was like a specific story, but it wasn't. But it was a fun video. I'm glad I watched it. Definitely got a history lesson. And I gotta watch that game, that 91-92 game, or 90-91 game. I gotta watch that game, because it seemed like, you know, that was Bird's last hurrah, and to know that he still pulled off that victory again with a bad back, that's impossible, man. So I really gotta watch that. So I'm gonna definitely watch that as soon as I can. But y'all let me know what other videos I need to check out. As always, like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate y'all for watching. Until next time.